Let's begin. Let's wind the clock back to a time when God had apparently left the room for a moment, and the world was busy falling apart. The year is 1348. The place, Florence. A city of art, commerce, and now a sprawling, open-air morgue. This is your world. You are not born into a family of physicians, draped in university accolades and noble purpose. Your father was a wool carder, a man whose skill was measured in the softness of his product, and whose hands were perpetually raw. Or they were until last week, when he concluded a rather brief but enthusiastic relationship with the pestilence by coughing up the last of his lungs. Your mother, a practical woman, followed him 2 days later, leaving you with little more than a hereditary predisposition for poverty and the unfortunate gift of literacy. It's this gift, this simple ability to read, that becomes your curse. You see the notice nailed to the church door, right next to the updated list of the dead. The city council seeks a medico della peste. The pay is astronomical, a king's ransom for a boy whose pockets contain only lint. The real doctors, the ones with actual knowledge and a healthy sense of self-preservation, have already fled, their horses kicking up dust on the road to cleaner, less doomed pastures. You remember watching one of them go, a portly man in fine silks, his face a mask of stern denial as he galloped past the wagons hauling your neighbors to a communal pit. He was escaping. You are about to run headfirst into the blaze. You don't choose this path. It chooses you, because you are hungry, you are desperate, and you are just literate enough to sign the contract that will effectively end your life long before you die. Your grand medical education begins the next day. You are 19. Your university is a damp, requisitioned storeroom near the city walls that smells of mildew and despair. There is no wise mentor, no passing of ancient knowledge. There is a tired city official with dead eyes and a ledger. Your only qualification is your signature on the dotted line. He hands you the uniform. Your crucible isn't fire or steel. It's waxed canvas and leather. They show you how to lace up the long, dark coat, a garment designed less to protect you and more to serve as a walking billboard for doom. It's heavy, stiff, and already smells faintly of the poor soul who wore it before you. Then comes the mask. Ah, the mask. That iconic bird-like visage that will one day be so coolly mysterious. For you, it is a claustrophobic leather prison with glass eyepieces that fog with every panicked breath. They show you how to stuff the beak with theriac, a messy, cloying paste of 50 different herbs, spices, and dubious ingredients like viper flesh and opium. Its purpose is to ward off the miasma, the bad air they believe carries the plague. In reality, its only function is to ensure you spend your days in a dizzying, suffocating fog of cloves, camphor, and your own recycled terror. Your first lesson in brutality has nothing to do with medicine. You see 2 city guards drag a man from his home. He was your predecessor, who, in a fit of grief, broke his quarantine to hold his wife's hand one last time. His punishment is swift and public. It is a lesson you absorb instantly. Your humanity is a liability. Your empathy is a flaw in the system. Later that week, you make your first house call. The woman on the pallet is already gone, but her husband, mad with grief, begs you to pray. You start to mumble a prayer, a vestige of the boy you were yesterday. A guard accompanying you brings his cane down sharply across your shoulders. You are not a priest, he grunts. You are a counter. Count her, and so you do. You are psychologically rewired. The part of you that feels is cauterized. Your name, your history, it's all packed away. You are no longer Giovanni, the wool carter's son. You are ill daughter. A function. A tool. There is a myth, of course. A gilded lie that will be told centuries from now. It speaks of a silent, selfless figure moving through the benighted streets. A dark angel of mercy. A mysterious hero battling the tide of death. This is a lovely story. It has nothing to do with you. The vile reality of your existence begins with the stench. Not the stench of the dead. You get used to that one surprisingly quickly. No, the primary stench is you. You are marinating. Inside the waxed coat, you are perpetually sweating, a human swamp of fear and exertion. You douse yourself in vinegar several times a day, a pathetic attempt at disinfectant that leaves you smelling like a spoiled salad. Then there's the beak, a portable potpourri bag from hell. The cloying sweetness of the herbs mixes with the sour tang of vinegar and the ever-present smell of death, creating a unique perfume that announces your arrival long before you are seen. Your diet is a testament to monotony. Stale bread, hard cheese, and watered-down wine are slid to you through a slot in the door of your quarantined room. You eat alone always. You sleep alone. Your only companion is the list of names you must update for the council. Your health is a constant, humming anxiety. Every cough in the street makes you flinch. You discreetly check your own neck and groin for the telltale buboes a dozen times a day, your heart pounding each time your fingers find a simple lymph node. The year is 1349, and against all odds, you have survived. You have become efficient. But your peak, your most legendary moment, will not take place at a patient's bedside. It will take place in the stone-walled chamber of the city council. The context is this. The plague has raged for over a year, and the city's coffers, like its graveyards, are overflowing and yet empty. The councilmen are beginning to see you not as a savior, but as an expensive and frankly ineffective line item on a budget of pure catastrophe. They speak of renegotiating your hazard pay downwards. The stakes are your survival beyond the plague. The blood money you've been promised is your only ticket out of this life. So you devise a strategy. You appear before them looking worse than usual, which is saying something. You allow a tremor into your hands as you present your latest ledger of the dead. You speak in a rasp, your voice hollowed out by feigned exhaustion. Then, at the crucial moment of the negotiation, you execute your masterstroke. You pause. You turn your beaked head away from them, as if to shield them, and you produce a single, artful, rattling cough. It is a masterpiece of suggestion. A cough that speaks of damp churchyards, final breaths, and the intimate, personal knowledge of the disease that they so dread. You see it in their faces. The immediate, visceral terror. These are men who have walled themselves away in their palaces, sniffing pomanders and praying. You are the man who wades through the filth. The unspoken threat hangs in the air heavier than any miasma. My world can become your world in a single breath. They stop talking about reducing your pay. The debate shifts to the size of the pension they will grant you, should you miraculously live to collect it. You walk out of that chamber not having saved a single life, but having secured your future. Your reputation is cemented, not as a great healer, but as the one Dotori who was cunning enough to make the city's terror work for him. Your daily grind becomes a masterpiece of soul-crushing monotony. You wake in your sealed room. You don the suit, your second skin. You walk the cobblestone streets, no longer bustling with life, but littered with refuse, despair, and the eerie silence of a city holding its breath. Your routine is a 4-step process. Step 1. Enter the house, the air thick and sweet with the smell of decay. Step 2. Locate the patient. Perform your useless ritual, perhaps lancing a swollen bubo with a knife you barely wiped clean from the last house, or prescribing a poultice of bread, onion, and dried frog. Step 3. Confirm the inevitable, either death or its imminent arrival, and make a neat, clinical note in your ledger. Step 4. Collect the fee, if they can still pay. Then you walk out, leaving the weeping family behind, and move on to the next house, the next name on your list. Society needs you, but it despises you. You are a walking, talking embodiment of the plague itself. A specific anecdote lodges in your memory. A woman, seeing you from her balcony, doesn't just empty a chamber pot into the street. She aims it at you. It's not just the filth. It's the contempt. You are already unclean, so what does a little more matter? There's a city ordinance, a law written just for you, reinforcing the status. You are forbidden from entering any tavern, market, or church. After dusk, you must be in your designated quarters, locked in from the outside. You are a prisoner whose only crime is your job. You are simultaneously the most important and the most reviled man in Florence. The vicious cycle of training the next generation doesn't apply. There is no next generation. The last two men who tried to apprentice under you are now just names in your ledger. You are utterly, completely alone. The unraveling does not come with a bang. It comes in a quiet room on a Tuesday afternoon. The situation is routine, another name on the list. But the address is one you know. It is the home of a weaver who, in that other life before the mask, had once shown you kindness, giving you a small scrap of brilliant blue cloth to admire when you were a boy. You find him on his bed, the plague having already claimed him. But he is not alone. His daughter, a small thing of maybe 6 years, is huddled in the corner. She is not crying. She is just watching you with wide, fever-bright eyes. You see the telltale swelling on her neck. She is marked. By every rule of your trade and your survival, you should simply note her down in the ledger and leave. She is a statistic in waiting, but she looks at you past the grotesque beak and whispers, "Water." It is a simple request, and it breaks you. In that moment, the careful, cynical machine you have built inside yourself grinds to a halt. You do something you haven't done in over a year. You feel. Slowly, you pull off your thick leather glove, exposing your bare hand. You touch her forehead. It's burning. You unhook the small flask of wine and water from your belt and pour a little onto your fingers, letting her sip from them. It is a useless, sentimental, human act. It changes nothing. She dies less than an hour later, her small body shuddering in your arms. That is the point of no return. It isn't her death that shatters you. You are a connoisseur of death. It is the realization of your own monumental impotence. Your one act of compassion was as empty and futile as all your medical theatrics. The cold, professional detachment you had cultivated was your only shield, and you have just discarded it for the sake of a memory, for the ghost of a small kindness. And it accomplished absolutely nothing. The haunting begins that very night. It isn't the faces of the hundreds you have cataloged that fill your nightmares. It is her, the little girl. You see her wide, trusting eyes. You feel the heat of her forehead under your bare hand. You start hearing her voice, the single whispered word, "water," echoing in the silence of your locked room. Your cynicism, once a sharp and reliable tool, has been blunted, and all that's left is a dull, throbbing ache of guilt. You find an anesthetic. Your contract, the one you so cleverly negotiated, provides you with a generous ration of wine. It was meant to be a small comfort. Now it becomes a necessity. You begin drinking not for pleasure, but for oblivion. You drink alone in your room, trying to drown the girl's face in the bottom of a wine-stained cup. The addiction corrodes the last vestiges of your professionalism. Your hand, once steady enough to make precise notes in your ledger, now shakes with a fine tremor. Your entries become sloppy, the names occasionally misspelled. One day, a clerk from the council summons you. You expect another argument about pay, another demand for impossible results. Instead, he points a contemptuous finger at your ledger. "Your penmanship has grown atrocious, daughter," he says, his voice dripping with disdain. "We can barely read the names. You are not being reprimanded for failing to save a life, but for a clerical error." The absurdity of it is the final straw. Your carefully constructed world, built on rules, ledgers, and emotional distance, collapses into a drunken, shambling ruin. You are no longer the cold functionary. You are just a hunted man in a ridiculous costume. Your end, when it comes, is a masterclass in anticlimax. The great pestilence, the biblical scourge you face down daily, does not claim you. It simply recedes. The tide of death pulls back, leaving behind a scarred, hollowed-out Florence. Your contract is terminated. The hazard pay stops. You are thanked with a purse of coins and shown the door. You are a man again, but a man unfit for the world of the living. Years drift by in a fog of cheap wine and directionless days. The setting for your final act is not a heroic sickbed. It is 1361. You are in a filthy, piss-scented alley behind a tavern, arguing with a discharged mercenary whose face you can't quite focus on. The argument is over nothing, a spilled drink, a mistaken glance. It is pathetic. He doesn't see the fearsome medico della peste who once made councils tremble. He sees a shabby, graying drunkard. He shoves you. It's not a violent push, more an act of annoyance. But you are weak, your balance ruined by years of drink. You stumble backward, your boots slipping on the slick cobblestones. The back of your head meets the corner of a stone trough with a wet, definitive crack. Your final moments are not filled with profound thoughts or visions of the afterlife. They are a confused jumble of sensations. The surprising cold of the damp stone, the overwhelming stench of garbage and stale wine, and a fleeting, distant thought about the sheer, baffling irony of it all. You, who walk through a city of corpses, who breathed in death for years, are felled by a clumsy fall in a back alley. Your death is as mundane as the lives you once failed to save. You are buried in a potter's field, your name, if anyone still remembered it, left uncarved. You are forgotten. Then, time performs its great, cynical magic trick. The centuries pass. Your story, your true story of filth, terror, and soul-crushing failure, is bleached clean. What remains is the silhouette, the costume. Your personal, suffocating hell is resurrected as a piece of high fashion for the Venetian carnival. Your beak, which you only ever smelled from the inside with its gag-inducing herbs, becomes a sleek, mysterious icon in video games and horror movies. You, the terrified, incompetent, alcoholic civil servant, are posthumously rebranded as a creature of the night, an agent of Gothic mystery. The final, sober truth is this: you were never a hero. You were not a villain. You were simply a man who took the worst job in the world at the worst possible time. A man whose suffering was so absolute that history couldn't bear to remember it accurately. Instead, it turned you into a cool costume, editing out the stench, the tears, and the pathetic, lonely death. It kept the mask and threw the man away.